Lenovo is back in our country with a bang. After a bit of a lull, the company has launched 3 smartphones at once. While the Z6 Pro is probably the most exciting smartphone for a lot of people, it is the K10 Note that is going to grab the attention of most folks, primarily because it's a mid-range smartphone. Hi, I'm Ershad from Mr. Phone, and in this video we're going to take a look at the unboxing and first impressions of the newly launched Lenovo K10 Note. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever Mr. Phone puts out an awesome new tech video. With the K10 Note, Lenovo has handed over the job of designing the hardware of the smartphone to Motorola, and I must say, Motorola, job well done, because your phone feels refined. What's refreshing about the K10 Note's design is that it doesn't try too hard. The phone is available only in black and doesn't go for any flashy gradients as we've seen on many mid-range phones recently. Black is always classy. It is an all-plastic build with a glossy finish. I quite like it actually. But the best part about the design is that it is only 8mm thick despite the 4050 mAh battery inside. And it is fairly lightweight at 164 grams, making it easy to hold and use with one hand. My only concern with the otherwise great design of the phone is that there is a hefty camera bump. The phone does wobble when you place it on a flat surface. The phone also comes with a physical fingerprint scanner on the rear. I found it easy to reach and it is quick to unlock as well. The power button and the volume rocker are on the right edge. These buttons have great travel and offer a great tactile feedback too. The SIM tray on the left edge is a hybrid one and you can swap a SIM card for a microSD card. The bottom edge is where all the action happens. You have the Type-C port, a mono speaker grill and a headphone jack. Coming to the display, you get a 6.4-inch IPS LCD water drop notch panel with a resolution of 1080 by 2340 pixels, which is FHD+. The two great things about this display are that you get support for HDR playback and it can touch 450 nits of brightness, which means that viewing the display outdoors shouldn't be much of a problem. I could play back HDR videos on YouTube, but for some odd reason HDR wasn't active on Netflix or Prime. Another good thing is that the bezels are extremely tiny. Anyway, I will take an extensive look at the display for the full review. Stay tuned. The K10 Note's camera setup is where things get interesting. It has a triple camera setup on the rear, which has become a norm now. However, Lenovo has gone for a 2x optical zoom telephoto 8-megapixel camera instead of a wide-angle setup. Why is this unique? Primarily because in this price range, most manufacturers do not use a telephoto setup. Apparently, it is more expensive to make telephoto cameras compared to wide-angle ones, as Lenovo tells me. Who knew? As for the rest of the camera setup on the rear, you get a 16-megapixel camera with f/1.8 aperture and a 5-megapixel depth sensor for bokeh shots. You get a 16-megapixel front camera for selfies as well. I have a few samples for you, but my initial impressions are that the night mode does an incredible job of fixing the dynamic range and the exposure. Just look at these shots. In daylight, I see great colors and dynamic range, but the details on close crop are not as impressive. This situation is same for selfies. I mean, great dynamic range, great colors, but details not so much. The focusing speeds are not that great either, but there is a software update coming, as Lenovo told me at the briefing, to fix any issues in our pre-release software. So essentially, when you buy the phone, it will have a different build of the software. Anyway, I'll discuss more in my full review, as you all know. The K10 Note has a Snapdragon 710 inside and comes in two RAM/ROM variants. The base version has 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage, and the high-end variant has 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. You also get the ZUI operating system, which looks almost like stock with a few design changes. I found them slightly forced. For example, when you slide down the notifications shade, the settings icon is inside the control panel, which is weird. Also, there is a gesture-based navigation system called 4D U Touch. This is possibly the most convoluted gesture-based navigation control I have used. The animation looks good though. And another problem is that I cannot unravel stacked notifications like you can see out here. Now while using the phone, I found the animations to be pretty heavy-handed. The phone felt slightly sluggish. So I went into the developer settings and dropped the animation speed to 0.5x, and everything has been buttery smooth since. PUBG also runs at high graphics as well as you'd expect from any mid-range phone with Snapdragon 710 or 675 or the Snapdragon 712. What you see on the screen right now are a few benchmarks from the phone that will help you judge how it performs. More about how it performs in real life in my full review. The 4050 mAh battery supports 18 watt fast charging, and you get the charger inside the box, which is definitely a big advantage. The K10 Note, after a few days of usage, my first impressions are that it has a lot of promise as a mid-ranger. But the problem is that there are a lot of stellar smartphones under rupees 20,000. The price of the K10 Note at launch will determine the popularity of the phone for sure. But at the time of shooting this first impressions, we don't have a handle on the price, but I expect it to be priced around rupees 14,000, which should make it a good bargain for sure. Anyway, we will add the price in the description box for both the variants, so don't forget to check that out. At the moment, the Lenovo K10 Note definitely looks pretty promising, like I mentioned. So that's it from me. I hope you guys liked our first impressions of the Lenovo K10 Note. Do let us know in the comment section below what you think about the phone. Until next time, this is Ershad from Mr. Phone signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.